Okay, so we are now looking at the different topic altogether, which is called the master production schedule. We need to do as much as we can so that we maximize on this course. You need to get an A in this course. All right, then. So the master production schedule is what we're looking at now. Okay. The MPS, which is called the master production schedule, is the topic we are looking at. Okay, so master production schedule. Here it may seem to be topic 5 or anything else, to just the numbering of topics. These topics were done not according to the order, the way they are. So this is topic 3, supposed to be topic 3. After forecasting, there is inventory. After inventory, there is a master production schedule. Now, this master production schedule looks at the following. Of course, the shortest possible topic that you can ever go for in POM, and actually very easy to understand. We can get it even from the pamphlet. So even in the pamphlet here, it is found in this pamphlet. Okay, in the POM pamphlet, it is actually found. So we can go for it right about now. As we do this, we'll be able to do as much as we can so that you understand this master schedule in detail. Okay, so it is here, actually. We have it here on the master production schedule. It is found given here in the pamphlet, and these are questions we can do. All right. But before actually looking at the questions, we really need to, first of all, understand the composition, the basics of this master schedule, what constitutes the schedule, what is involved in the schedule, and all that. All right, so the master schedule looks at the following. The first component of it is the loading of labor hours and capacity. This is called the rough cut capacity planning. So rough cut capacity planning is where we compare the loading of labor hours in each week and for the total weeks in order to determine if we have enough capacity to produce the master schedule, and make some recommendations or changes to the master schedule. All right. The second part, so this is the first part of it. Then the second part is as the 4 components, and these are aggregate demand, the beginning inventory, required production, and ending inventory. So that's the second part of the master schedule. It has actually 4 components. The first part is called the rough cut capacity planning. And this is where we compare the loading of labor hours with capacity in each week and for the total weeks in order to determine if you have enough capacity to produce the master schedule, and then make some recommendations or changes to the master schedule. And this master MPS, master production schedule, it just looks at, are we overloading in a stadium? Okay, when there's a football match between Zambia and whichever nation, whichever country, are we having more people than capacity? Are we overutilizing our facility? Or are we underutilizing our facility? Are we having more students or more pupils in a class that we can't manage to handle? Are we actually, are we over-enrolled? Okay, so to speak, this is just about what this master schedule is, so that we strike a balance to say, okay, in which month, in which period did we over-enroll? And what are we going to do now? Okay. So this is just what is involved as we look at this one. All right, so the second part of the master schedule, the first one, we will compare the loading of labor hours, which is called the rough cut capacity planning. We compare the loading of labor hours with capacity in each week and for the total weeks in order to determine if we have enough capacity to produce the master schedule and then make some changes or recommendations to the master schedule. All right, then we getting down to the other one. The other one we're getting down to is the second part of this master schedule. That's to do with 4 components. We are looking at the first component is aggregate demand. Then the second component is the beginning stock. The third component is required production. And the fourth component is ending stock. So these are just about the components that we need as we look at the rough cut capacity planning. Okay. So now there's a rule that applies as we're getting down to this second part of the master schedule. The rule is that the second part is that the rule for this second part is that inventory level, that is either ending or beginning stock, should not fall below the safety stock. The safety stock is just like the buffer stock, the stock kept for security reasons to cushion on demand. So we are simply saying the rule for this second part is that inventory level, that is either ending or beginning stock, should not fall below the safety stock level. If inventory falls below the safety stock level, then we should require production or the lot size. Okay, so we can look at an example. A firm produces one product on a produce to stock basis. This question came from the pamphlet. All these questions here came from pamphlet, and some of these questions, if not all of them, they are just repeated. The firm produces one product on a produce to stock basis, meaning that they are just producing to keep. The demand for this product comes from a different sources for the next 4 years or for the next 4 weeks given. And then we have the source of demand coming from the intra-company orders, then the warehouse orders, the research and development orders, and then coming also from the customers. All right, so we have these demands that are coming from various sources. Now, the safety stock for this product is 30 units, and the fixed lot size is 50 units. The beginning inventory is given as 50. Okay, so that's beginning inventory is 50 units. Then we are going to prepare the master production schedule for this product. All right. Given the following production schedule of the 2 end items A and B. First, now, I'm supposed to answer the first part of the question where I'm supposed to prepare the master schedule for the first part of it. Okay, so here we are looking at which one. Here, there are 2 strategies. When the safety stock is given, meaning that we're talking about the second part of the master production schedule, which has 4 components, getting down to the aggregate. The first one, like I mentioned, we are talking about the aggregate. Okay, so aggregate demand. Okay, so aggregate demand, the beginning inventory, required production, and ending inventory. So we are talking about this component here, where we're talking about aggregate demand, the beginning inventory, the required production, the ending inventory. All right, so whatever it is, as we find the ending inventory is just about the stock that remains after we have met the demand. What remains after you've sold a company, where we are looking at, okay, we've done so much sales, we've sold, then what remains is what we call the ending inventory. And then the formula for ending inventory is just about ending stock. So we simply say ending stock. So we have ending stock is actually going to is given by beginning stock. So beginning, okay, so beginning stock then plus production, okay, plus production, which is also called lot size. Okay, so plus the production, then minus the demand. Okay, so this is about the formula for ending stock. Please take note of this formula. This is just about what goes on as we look at this wonderful formula. So the ending stock is beginning stock, what we opened with, plus what we have produced minus the demand. All right, so we are getting down to this problem. We are looking at, okay, so here we can now get down to here the pamphlet. So here aggregate demand. So the solution for this one, we aggregate the demand. So here some of the demand coming from various sources, week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. Of course, there is a rule that we should not forget about this, that inventory level, either beginning or ending stock, should not fall below the safety stock levels. If that happens, then you require production or lot size. So please take note of that. All right, so here we have this same question. So we are going to have safety stock level is 30 units, the same question coming from the pamphlet. Lot size is 50. All right, and then beginning inventory is 50 units. Prepare the master schedule, so we aggregate the demand. So the demand is 50, 45, 25, and 50. So the total demand coming from various sources, so meaning 10 plus 10 plus 20. That is 10 plus 10 plus 30. That is just about what we have. Then for week 2 is 20, 25. For 3 is 10 and 15. For 4 is 10, 10, and 30, which is 50. That is aggregate demand. Then from here, we have that aggregate demand. Okay. Then we go for the sum of demand, which is 50. The beginning stock, we have been told, is 50 units. Inventory should not fall below safety stock levels. So if inventory falls below safety stock level, then we require production. All right, so meaning here, quite all right, we are okay. Our safety stock is what is the guiding point here that we should not forget about, which is 30 units. So inventory should not fall below the safety, which is 30 units, our safety stock. So what we are simply saying is we have the aggregate demand is 50, the beginning stock is 50. Quite all right, yes, we can meet the demand, but what we're going to remain with here will be actually less than it will be 0 actually. So here 50 to meet 50 the demand, we are going to have 0 is what is going to remain here, because 50 to meet the demand of 50, we're going to have 0. And then that 0 is actually not enough, because inventory should not fall below the safety stock levels of 30 units. So 50, so that's why we require production of the fixed lot size of 50. We are finding the fixed lot size. Fixed lot size is the production size. So fixed lot size of 50, which is 50 units. So this is just about what we have. Okay, so fixed lot size of 50. So meaning we are producing in fixed batches of 50. Meaning that if 50 is not enough, we need to produce actually 100, more like in multiples of 50. So 100 is not enough. We can produce 150 or 200 or 250, just like that. All right, then. So we now get down to this solution. So you have 50 to meet the demand of 50. Yes, we can. But we are going to remain with 0, which is not good enough. So meaning that we need a lot required production of 50. So meaning, according to the formula that I've given, our ending stock is equal to beginning plus production minus the demand forecast, or minus the forecast. So this is it about what we have as we get to this given problem. Okay, so meaning here, beginning plus production minus the demand, which is 50 here. 50, the ending stock for a period is the beginning stock for the next period. So 50 to meet 45, yes, we can, but what we're going to remain with here will be actually 5. 5 is less than 30 units. So we need to actually produce the fixed batch of 50. So add these two, which is 100. 100 minus 45, you get a 55. So you get a 55. So this is 100 minus 45 is 55. 55 as beginning stock. 55 to meet 25. We're going to have 30 remaining as ending stock, which is actually okay, because it's at par with a safety stock, the buffer stock. It's more like when you get paid, don't finish all the money. You make sure that you have something to reserve, so that you don't starve. So this is just about the master schedule on the plan where we are looking at the one which has the second part. So this is the second part of master schedule, which has 4 components. The rule for this second part is that inventory level that is either ending or beginning should not fall below the safe stock levels. If that happens, then we require production. Please, 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 I emphasize this second part is very, very important, that you really need to understand, and you go for it. And it is well, you need to go through this second part of the master schedule. There's one from looking at, which was an example here, example 1. It came on the second part, which had 4 components. The first one, aggregate the demand. It means just the sum of demand coming from various sources. Demand can come from intra-company orders or the branch warehouse orders, or it can come from the research and development orders, or it can come from the customer orders that we need to go for. Please, 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 please take note of this one. All right, then. So we get down to the other agenda here, where we are looking at the second part. Okay. The other part of example 2, let me just look at example 2. This one also came from the pamphlet. Okay. So this is where we are looking at this one, where we are simply looking at a company, example 2, that's question 2, on the same topic, on the master production schedule. A company manufactures barcode scanners on a produce as per order basis. This is just very important that we need to understand. It means that they can only produce these scanners when there is an order. When there is no order, they cannot produce. So they are only producing as per order basis. So they can only produce if there is an order. If there is no order, there is no need for them to actually what? Produce. All right. So this is just about what we need and what is needed here for this kind of question. So now we need to know what are they asking us about to do. All right. So now the first aspect here that they're saying the Shine company manufactured 3 models of the scanners on the same assembly line. The final assembly has 20,000 hours of weekly capacity. The 6-week MPS and the final assembly standard for each model are. So we have these products ABC through to C, ABC. All right. Then the final assembly standard, which is the hours per scanner, which is the weekly production of scanners. We have those productions. All right. Now, the first question here says, compute the actual final assembly hours required at the plant in each week and for the total 6 weeks to produce the master schedule, which is the MPS, and compare the load to the labor hours capacity in each week and for the total 6 weeks. Now, this one, when you're comparing the load, is that a question, please? All right. So when you're comparing the loading of hours and capacity, it's called what we go. This is called the rough cut capacity planning. So okay, so this one is called the rough cut capacity planning. Okay, so it's coming from this first part of the master schedule, which is rough cut planning, is where we compare the loading of the hours in each week and for the total weeks in order to determine if you have enough capacity to produce the master schedule and make some recommendations or changes to the master schedule. All right. So this is what goes on as we look at this kind of a problem. All right. So we have this one. The company manufactures barcode scanners on a produce per order basis. The company manufactures 3 models of scanners on the same assembly line. The final assembly has 20,000 hours of weekly capacity. The 6-week MPS and the final assembly standard for each model are, so this is just coming from the same pamphlet. So we have complete actual final assembly hours required at the plant in each week and for the total weeks to produce the master schedule. Compare the load to the labor hours capacity each week and for the total weeks. All right, does enough production capacity exist to produce the MPS? What changes to MPS would you recommend? So what is going to happen is final assembly standard hours per scanner. We have hours per scanner. For scanner A, we have 25 hours per scanner to produce a scanner for A. For B, we have 30 hours to produce a scanner for B. Then for C, we have 35 hours to produce a scanner for C. All right, so the loading will be as follows. So meaning here, we are going to have the loading of hours as we are looking at the loading. So the loading of hours. So here, the most important thing is final assembly standard hours per scanner. One scanner to produce, we're taking for A. Scanner A is taking 25 hours. And then scanner B is taking 30 hours. Then scanner C is taking also 35 hours to produce. That is, so now we have to start multiplying and getting the total loading. So in short, what is going to happen here is for the solution, we are going to multiply 25 by each of these ones. So 25 by each of these, we multiply all those, 30 by each of those, 35 by each of these ones. Then you find the loading in that given week. All right. So here, each one requires for A, this is a production for A for those weeks. These are weeks. So meaning that we can find the totals for each of them. All right. So meaning that for A, we have these ones. For B, we have these ones. For C, we have these ones. So the total loading is giving us 13,250. Then for week 2 is giving us 15,000. For week 3 is giving us 27,50. Week 4 is giving us 27,50. And then week 5 is also giving us 17,000. Week 6 is giving us 22,500. The totals of these is giving us 109,250. That is the total loading. So our total loading is actually giving us 109,250,000 hours, 109,250,000 hours. Then the capacity is 120,000 hours. And what's the question about? You compute the first one, you compute the actual final assembly hours required at the plant in each week, and for a total 6 weeks to produce the MPS, and then compare the load to labor hours capacity in each week, and for a total 6 weeks. All right, so this is just about what we have. All right, so now we're getting down to part B. So we have computed part A. Part B: does enough production capacity exist to produce the MPS? Does enough production capacity exist to produce the MPS? So you can simply say yes, there is enough production capacity to produce MPS, because the total capacity is 120,000 hours compared with the loading of 109,250 hours. Yes, so we have agreed. Okay. But we should say we have our underloading of hours in the weeks where we have underloading. In week 1, we have underloading. Week 2, we have underloading. Week 5, we have underloading. And we have overloading of hours in week 3. We have also our overloading of hours in week 4. And we have also overloading of hours in week 6. Because our capacity is 20,000 hours. This is just about what we need. All right. So you can agree, yes, we have enough capacity to produce MPS, but you can contradict that we have the underloading in week 1, we have also underloading in week 2, we have also underloading in week 5, and we have overloading in week 3, we have also overloading in week 4, and we have the overloading in week 6. So this is just about what goes on. Now, what changes to the MPS are you going to recommend? The other question, the last one. What changes to the MPS would you recommend? So we should simply say we should move some hours, move some production hours from week 3. Okay, so from week 3, week 4, and week 6, where we have the overloading, the weeks where we have the underloading. So it can be more precise to say week 3, we can move the 750 hours from week 3. You can also move the 750 hours from week 4. You can also move the 2,500 hours from week 6 and take them to the weeks where we have the underloading, so that the loading of hours does not exceed the capacity. All right. Is that clear? So this is just about what goes on as we look at this one. So we are supposed to move some labor hours, so it can be precise to say, okay, you can move some labor hours from week 3 of 750, we can take them to week 2. You can also move some labor hours from week 4 and take them to week 1, or all of them, these two, you can take them all of them to week 1, or you can move the 2,500 hours from week 6, and then 750 hours from week 4, and also 750 hours from week 3, and all of these hours, we can take them to week 1. If they can still fit with week 1, then we can make a recommendation and changes to the MPS, so that we don't have anywhere where we have the overloading of hours. Okay, so we can strike a balance. We can move 750 hours from week 3 to week 1. We can also move the 750 hours from week 4 to week 1, or we can also move the 2,500 hours from week 6 to week 2, so that the loading of hours does not exceed the capacity. Is that clear? So
Yes.
this, yes, please. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so what is happening now is just have time to go through. We will do as many examples on the master schedule as possible. So this is just what is involved as we look at the master production schedule. Please take time to go through whatever we've discussed on now. The two methods, the rough cut planning, compare the loading and capacity. Then the other one has 4 components where we look at inventory level should not fall below a self-stock level, the first example we did. And then we looked at the one for the barcode scanner, where we have done this example here, which came from the pamphlet. So please take note, go through. This is just about how this solution came in. Yes, but we have underloading in week 1. So here, yeah, this is the solution here, the 109250 where it came from and all that, so that you see that this has been computed. Please take note and have time to go through, and we'll do as many examples as possible. We'll get some other questions from the exam papers so that we can understand this topic thoroughly. So if there are no other questions, so we can end the class for now.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.